Good morning, everyone. Some further updates about Mr. Bernier traveling through Ontario on Friday. On Friday, there was supposed to be, and there still is, but it's at a different venue, a conversation between myself and Maxime Bernier. If you already have tickets, well, I've already been in touch. And if you don't, you can see it online, don't worry. But people were trying to shut it down, and they succeeded in getting my venue to cancel. And that's okay, we've got a new venue, but now I've just learned, like 10 minutes before I started this show, and I guess this was tweeted yesterday, but I didn't see it, that the Cambridge venue pulled out as well. Here's Cambridge North Dumfries candidate David Haskell saying, quote, "In Southern Ontario, far-left fascists have been intimidating venue owners who agreed to host at People's Party events featuring Maxime Bernier. Made fearful, my venue in Cambridge canceled for this Friday, but the show will go on. And here's my battle cry." And it's a link to YouTube video that I have not watched yet because I literally just got this link, so I apologize. So, Twitter works with the Canadian government, and I'll show you a link about that in just a minute, but this is an interesting case that happened yesterday that's less political and more ideological. So people are being banned for ideological wrongthink on Twitter these days, which is really interesting. And I just want to point it out, and then I'm going to show you how the Canadian government works with social media, and then I'm going to show you some social media. Okay, the Post-Millennial is reporting, quote, "Twitter permanently silences Canadian free speech activist Lindsay Shepard." And I wasn't going to read this whole article. I'm just going to read you the kind of important parts. Here we go. A source has confirmed that the Twitter ban is permanent. That's an update at the top of the article. One of Canada's most outspoken free speech advocates, Lindsay Shepard, has been permanently suspended from Twitter. The suspension comes after a jousting match with a notorious trans woman named JY, who's been accused of predatory behavior towards children and making frivolous human rights complaints. The Post-Millennial reached out to Sheppard, who said, "I got suspended for 2 weeks, although they didn't tell me exactly which tweets were the problem, so I'm giving my best guess. Last night, JY tweeted that I have a loose vagina from pushing a 10-pound baby out, but he still has a, quote, tight pussy. In reality, JY has male genitalia, according to the proceedings of the current human rights tribunals he's been testifying in, and in reality, I had a C-section and a 6-pound, 10-ounce baby." And I scroll down a little bit. "I replied that this is something a man who has no functional romantic relationship with women would say, but I guess that described him pretty well. Then Yannick mocked a reproductive abnormality I have, a separated uterus. And so I replied saying, 'At least I have a uterus, you fat, ugly man.' I thought I can't allow him to make these misogynistic remarks about me and not fight back. I deleted the comments I made this morning, but found out was suspended in the afternoon." Sheppard, who is also a columnist for the Post-Millennial, told us that she is concerned about her inability to respond to mistruths now that she's banned from the platform. And I'll leave it there. Again, this is Twitter banning someone for, well, in her opinion, misgendering somebody. And is that something that we want Twitter engaging in? This has gone from right-wing banning abhorrent hate speech to now saying you can't be on the platform for calling someone a fat, ugly man after this person is attacking her. That seems strange to me. Here's Karina Gould, and I just want to give context. This is from June 6, 2019. Gould urges Twitter to take more responsibility for content as election approaches. Quote, "Twitter has essentially decided not to take responsibility for these activities," minister says. Democratic Institution Minister Karina Gould delivered a scolding to Twitter today, urging the social media platform to take more responsibility for its content ahead of the upcoming federal election. "We know that their platform has been used and manipulated by foreign and malicious actors, and we're still waiting to hear what their plans are here in Canada," she told reporters in the foyer of Parliament West Block on Thursday. Last week, Gould unveiled what the government is calling a declaration of electoral integrity, which will see Ottawa work with online platforms to address online attempts to disrupt the upcoming federal election. Facebook, Google, and Microsoft have signed on to the declaration. See, the social media companies, and Twitter has since signed on to the declaration and promised not to run political ads. These companies work directly with the Canadian government in order to deal with our elections. So when Twitter behaves in a certain way, I think that either it's by design, the Canadian government or Twitter or both want this to happen. And if it's a mistake, you'd think that things would get sorted out very quickly, wouldn't you? Okay, so here's and I said there's been an update since then, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that these companies work directly with the government at the government's behest. Okay, here is my Twitter currently. This was locked yesterday, this was locked more than 24 hours ago. I've been in contact with Twitter more than once saying I'm real. I'm a federal election candidate. And you know this. I verified this account as far as I can recall. I verified with a phone number. And they're saying that my account is restricted and has been restricted for longer than is usual. I've had account restrictions before as I post conservative ideas on Twitter under my show Twitter that I use. I dealt with it all the time. Every other day I would have suspension. Usually I would email the support team, and within a couple of hours, sometimes right away, really, like sometimes 10 minutes, like boom, they would get me right back up. But other times it would take like 2 hours. It usually never took longer than a sleep. Like I would go to bed and wake up and it would be back. And usually it wouldn't be an issue. And whatever. I mean, it is what it is. If they want to, yeah, I mean, it's a form of censorship too. Not whatever. I'm not trying to. I was going to minimize it, but it's not. It shouldn't be minimized. It's ridiculous that wrongthink leads to a website working incorrectly. But at this point, my campaign Twitter is locked. I had an event that was threatened with violence by radical leftists and who have connections to dairy, like the person, Jamie Gibson, whose dad owns a dairy farm out in St. Mary's. So that's interesting. He's the one who started the petition in the first place through change.org. If you don't watch Amazing Polly, check out Amazing Polly and those connections, because that's interesting to note. But I just want to say, with Twitter working closely with the Canadian government and all of the social media working closely with the Canadian government, when something like this happens, it's either because Twitter wants to and is allowed by the Canadian government, or it's at the behest of the Canadian government because they work closely together, right? So I don't know. Is that what's going on here? Is it an error on Twitter's part that is taking an extra long time to fix? I'm not sure, but I'll be continuing to keep you updated on the status of my campaign Twitter account. I'm interested to see what happens. Here is a list of candidates, and I did this video a few minutes ago, and it got boring because I was scrolling, showing everybody how few candidates the NDP have. Really, it's really, really surprising. I was shocked. There was a time where the NDP had candidates in Quebec, and Quebec made them into the official opposition. Quebec elected them as the official opposition. They got enough seats basically in Quebec to boom, put them right over the top. I think they had something like 80 seats in Quebec or something. No, that's too many. There was a lot. It was 2011. That was a long time ago. But my point is, the candidates in Quebec for the NDP are shockingly low. So here's what I did. I'm going to pause it for a second and draw some things on the board, and we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at the PPC candidates, and I'm going to tell you the numbers, and you can verify for yourself if you'd like. But give me a second. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So we're just going to scroll down, and you can see Green, NDP, PPC, Conservative, and Liberal. And so we're just going to scroll down, and you can see where the holes are. And as soon as that happened, that first New Brunswick that had no seats, the first whole area that had no candidates at all, that's worrisome. Imagine if that was Mr. Bernier's party. The pundits would be making political hay of that. Wait till we get to Quebec. Here we go. This is Quebec City and Central Quebec. Look at the NDP. And I mean, look at Bernier's party, but look at NDP. And look at the Liberals too. They're very spotty. And the Conservatives, not so spotty. It seems very, very interesting, doesn't it? It's very, very interesting. There's some candidates, but back to none, right? That's the news of this scroll. And I don't want to get, and look at that. Western Montreal, none, not one. Sorry, guys. Jugmeat. Nobody's picking up the national biking strategy here. What is going on? Look at this. This is news. And I'm surprised that nobody's pointing this out. The NDP are in very, very bad shape. Okay, and here's the numbers. Here is the numbers. Where are the numbers? Hold on a second here. As of July 10th, the Conservatives have more candidates ready than anyone with 316. The PPC are next with 286. The Liberals have 213. The Greens have 208. And the NDP have 116. Wow. Fall from grace. I would be like, at this point in time, we're getting close. We're getting to the point where you should be vetting your final candidates. And well, I mean, I'm questioning whether the NDP have enough French-speaking candidates or French-speaking staff to vet all those French candidates in time. Because, yeah, I don't know. My goodness. So that's a concern for them. So all of those numbers are interesting to note and pay attention to. Links in the description if you want to have a look for yourself. And there's been Twitter discussions and conversations about the People's Party being a racist or misogynistic or white supremacy party. And I just want you to have a look at our candidates here. There's a rainbow of people of different sexes and different nationalities from all sorts of different parts of the world and all Canadian. So here's so that's the link to the People's Party candidates website, and you can see all our list of candidates, because that's a pretty robust list, guys. That's something to be proud of, really, and I am. And here's a video I think it's by Frank Vaughan, but he shared it for sure. I'm not sure if it's actually by him, but we're going to watch the whole thing. It's very interesting. Well done. Well done. Yeah. Strong, free, Canadian. And the attempted smears are just based on complete falsehoods. Complete falsehoods. Actions matter more than words, and our actions are very, very clear. The People's Party is a party inclusive and open to people who share the values of freedom, respect, personal responsibility, and fairness. And that's Canadian, right? Okay. Here is something that is concerning. The last part of this just made my stomach drop, like a roller coaster. I was like, oh, okay. Global News is reporting, man found not criminally responsible in Toronto Military Center stabbing can go to college alone, appeals court. Ontario's top court has upheld a decision allowing a man found not criminally responsible in a knife attack at a Toronto military recruitment center to eventually take college classes on his own. The appeal court says the Ontario Review Board considered all the required factors last year in granting Alain Hassan Ali permission to attend Mohawk College unaccompanied when staff at the secure Hamilton Hospital where he's detained deem he is ready. The three-judge appeal panel further say it was not unreasonable for the board to ban Ali from known military facilities or centers rather than the more restrictive measure sought by the Crown, a prohibition from contacting any military personnel. Prosecutors had challenged the board's ruling, saying too much consideration had been given to Ali's needs and too little to public safety. They argued awarding such privileges was unreasonable given that it was Ali's first review and he had no track record to rely on. The Crown said Ali's compliance with rules on his highly restricted hospital ward is not the same as having unsupervised access to the college. The review board, which annually evaluates the status of anyone found not criminally responsible or unfit to stand trial for criminal offense due to mental illness, found Ali continues to pose a significant threat to the public and should remain at the hospital. But it also granted him gradually increasing privileges that began with permission to travel through the hospital and grounds with staff, and then with an approved companion and eventually under indirect supervision, which means being unaccompanied. If that went well, Ali could then follow similar steps into the community for education purposes, specifically to go to Mohawk College, which is across the street from the hospital, the board said. And I scroll down. Ali attacked several uniformed military personnel with a large knife in March 2016 and wounded at least 2 people before he was overpowered and subdued. He was charged with attempted murder, assault causing bodily harm, and assault with a weapon, as well as carrying a weapon, all for the benefit of a terrorist group. Last year, an Ontario judge found that while Ali carried out the attack based on his extremist beliefs, the formation of those beliefs was precipitated by mental illness. The judge also found Ali was not acting on behalf of or for the benefit of a terrorist group. As a result, Ali was cleared of the terror element of the charges and found not criminally responsible on the lesser included offenses. Prosecutors are also appealing that finding, arguing Ali should be considered a terrorist even though he acted alone. They say Ali should be considered not criminally responsible, but on the terror charges rather than the lesser ones, and they are seeking a new trial on that issue. Yeah. So the whole idea that this person was mentally ill when he became radicalized, and because of his mental illness, his radicalization is not counted, and so he's not a terrorist. Can you say mental gymnastics in court? This is an absolute travesty, absolute miscarriage of justice. What a disappointment. Here's the last story for this morning. CTV News is reporting some MPs are warning that parliamentary workload is going to kill someone. Yeah. CTV News reporting, quote, some MPs are warning the high-stress, high-stakes environment of politics coupled with relentless work schedules are one day going to kill someone. Winnipeg MP Kevin Lemeroux, who has been the Liberals' deputy House leader since the last election, says he is particularly concerned about the marathon overnight voting sessions that are one of the few ways opposition parties have to interfere with the majority government's ability to pass legislation. 3 such marathons took place in the last parliament, and Lemieux says that he thinks it's only a matter of time before someone dies after being forced to stay awake for 30 hours or more. You know, I think Trump said, no, let's not quote Trump. Let's just say you don't have to do this. You don't have to run to be an MP. You don't have to sit in the House of Commons. And if you're tired, you can go home. You can talk to your party's whip. Just say, you know what? I'm just feeling a little tired. I'm going to go and have a nap. So you don't have to do this. This is a job. You put yourself forward for service. And I'm sorry, but not good enough. Going to kill someone? I don't think lack of sleep, especially within the context of sitting in a chair and standing up every so often, is really putting your life at risk. I'm sorry. I disagree really fundamentally, and I think that it's kind of funny that you're trying to play the pity me game. I don't pity this Liberal government. I don't pity the MPs. They reap what they sow. I think, really. And trying to change our parliamentary rules and trying to limit the ways that oppositions can protest the majorities, what a waste of time. What a distractive waste of time, really. Like, we have to stop those terrible opposition people from stopping us doing what we know to be right, which is not at all what Canadians agree with. Look at the polls. Really. Check out the peoplespartyofcanada.ca. And, well, I would say follow me on Twitter, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. Who knows? Stay tuned for more updates about the Friday events. Both are going ahead. And, well, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.